Hello and welcome to the Daily. It is March 11th. I am Andrew Wiebe. Next to me, Simon Borg. Simon, the second Monday here of MLS action. The big game on Sunday night in San Jose on ESPN2, the Quakes against the Red Bulls. And the Goonies are back with a little bit of help from Roy Miller. 2-1 win for San Jose. Adam Yan getting that first goal with Roy Miller watching at the back post. And a handball in the box goes to the spot. But encroachment after Chris Wondolowski's penalty kick is saved. Roy Miller getting all the headlines after this game. Whose fault is it, though, Simon? Is he being made a scapegoat for this team that's struggling right now?
I mean, he's the obvious scapegoat because he made the errors that in the end cost them the game. And look, of the three errors here, I think you point to the one on the penalty kick. That's inexcusable. Him walking in, encroaching by a large distance there. You have to call that if you're Ricardo Salazar, and he did. But Roy Miller, I think, is the symbol of a Red Bulls team that doesn't have the right attitude. And Mike Petke said it in his post-game comments. What are we going to be here? We had no one fighting for the ball in this game. We didn't have anyone wanting to possess the ball. What kind of team are we going to be? So this Red Bulls team is a work in progress. And by the way, no excuses because of travel or anything. This team was a listless performance.
Certainly people looking for a little bit more from those designated players in New York. There's Thierry Henry's, Tim Cahill's also on Sunday. Philadelphia with a 2-1 win in that delayed game in Colorado. Check out all the coverage on MLSsoccer.com. Of course, the other big trend here in MLS this weekend, success for teams north of the border. All three Canadian sides getting 2-1 victories. Toronto FC starting it off with a 2-1 win against Sporting Kansas City at the Rogers Center. A big surprise in that one. Vancouver with a 2-1 victory against Columbus. And then Montreal finishing off that Cascadia stint with a 2-1 victory against Portland. Simon, a lot to be happy about for these three teams, but who has the most to look forward to?
Well, Andrew, I'm giving style points to Vancouver. They played an excellent game, excellent passing game. But Montreal, to me, the most significant win. They go into Cascadia back-to-back weekends and they get wins. More importantly, they do it with an identity. They're comfortable about this new style of play that Marco Schalabam has given them. And I think they've made the statement, we're a team to be reckoned with.
Certainly one of the contenders in the East there. Schalabam off to a great start. Another new coach, Chalice, at Chivas USA. A lot of people wrote this team off after last weekend's loss to the Crew. A 3-1 victory against FC Dallas. Starting to look good. Juan Agudelo with a nice goal.
Yeah, and they haven't won since August, I believe the stat is. And when Dallas goes up a goal and David Ferreira just knifing through that defense and scoring a beautiful goal, you thought it was done. I mean, you thought the spirit was just killed of this Chivas team. But Juan Agudelo fights. Osvaldo Minda fighting. They get goals, and then they wrap it up with a counterattack goal. And Chalice has given this team spirit. And if nothing, this win gives them hope that they can battle through games and get results.
Of course, plenty of spirit in his post-game comments as well. It's always a must-read when Chalice speaks after a game. Check out those comments on MLSsoccer.com as well as all the coverage from this weekend's games. Another week, another round of fantasy matchups. But before we get on to that, three guys that you may want to watch out as you begin to create your team. Injuries this weekend. Pablo Mastroeni leaving early. Eddie Gavin having an issue with his ankle. And then John Thornton, a great game for DC United in that win against Real Salt Lake, Simon. But he may have an MRI, and there may be some doubt there about his future.
Yeah, there was a little concern in his quotes after the game. John Thornton playing really well in that 1-0 victory over Real Salt Lake. Says an MRI on the knee that's giving him problems. Scheduled for later today. Stay tuned for news on that on MLSsoccer.com. And then to throw another name into the mix, Chris Rolfe leaving the match with what Frank Lopez called muscle issues around, and that affects his knee. So if you're a fantasy player and you have Chris Rolfe on your team, keep an eye out for that.
Well, how'd you do this weekend, Simon? I raked in 57 points. I'm going to lose 4 for that extra substitution, but I think a lot of people really paying attention now to how their team did.
The buys for the teams in Champions League killed me here. 34 points, a measly 34. But I have 105, and I'm very much in reach of that number 1 spot. I think the top player has 169. That's reachable.
Within reach. Maybe a little bit delusional there from Simon Borg, but let us know how your team did in the comments below. Also, make sure you check out today on the site Extra Time Radio, Davey Arnaud from the Montreal Impact, as well as all the wrap-up from the weekend. That's all we have here today. Also, stay tuned on the site. Obafemi Martins, perhaps that deal will be sealed today. Reports coming out of Spain that his buyout clause is set to be met. That's all we have here. Check us tomorrow on The Daily.